They really don't want me recording this video because it's about to get peak. It's about to get peak. It looks like Pep Guardiola is set to leave Manchester City, according to the reports. Quite a few of the news journalists have now come out with that over the last couple of hours this evening. Um, Crazy, crazy, and apparently, actually, it's going to be Enzo Maresca, which is an interesting appointment if that's the one that's going to be made. It does sound like an appointment that they've thought about for quite some time, maybe just because of personnel that's available, maybe because that is genuinely the manager that they wanted to come in. And we'll take a deeper look into Enzo Maresca if he is the manager to come in for Pep Guardiola. But yeah, like I said, man, according to the reports, it's time to say bye to Pep Guardiola, man, the greatest Premier League manager in my lifetime, the greatest football manager I have ever seen in my entire life. Um, I mean, what more can you really say, man? I think when you're talking about someone like Pep Guardiola, right? It's it's more than just the football on the pitch and the trophies that he's won and some of the players that he's managed. We're talking about a guy who's been able to go to, started out obviously in Spain. He's now, of course, in England, via Germany. And this is a guy who's influenced football in each and every single country. In fact, he's influenced football worldwide. But if we're just going to stay exclusively to the Premier League, when we think about him, I'm talking when it comes to Pep Guardiola, I'm talking about grassroots. I'm talking about non-league football. They're trying to play like him as if he's the principal, as if his style is the style for the entire country. So because he's the best manager, for example, I guess in theory it kind of makes sense because he is the best. It's this style of football, so in order for everybody else to also play that kind of style of football in terms of the youngsters coming through and to have that almost as like a culture within England, that's what we're going to follow. The problem you've got with that is that England is not Spain. So England, in terms of the makeup of the type of players that they produce, in terms of and that's more to do with like the coaches that they've got in England. The football teaching is different in every single country, right? It's not the same in England as it is in Spain. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's just that's just a cultural kind of thing, right? It's not going to be the same as it would be in Africa, as an example, right? It's all a different kind of culture that you're having to try and implement. In Spain, the culture was before Pep Guardiola anyway. The culture was about, trying to have a probably more technical players. Obviously, Pep Guardiola, it's just enhanced, but that was their kind of thing. In England, it's been more about the intensity, the strength, the aggressiveness, of a team and the kind of willpower that they kind of have, and France, Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, they've all had their own kind of thing. And I think England, just culturally, but also just because of just the makeup of everything here in this country, we don't produce that type of player. When I say type of player, we don't produce. We produce technically sound players. There are a lot of them. Let me not sit here and act like there isn't any, but it's not within the culture though. They're more seen as like outliers. So when we see technical players like an Adam Wharton, you see technical players like a Rio and Gamoa, it's like, oh my goodness, this player is amazing, kind of thing. And it's almost like that Jack Wilshere thing, with Arsenal. Amazing player, technically brilliant, blah, blah, blah. There's about 10 of them in La Masia. There's about 10 of him. He ain't special. Do you get what I'm saying? Outside of England, he wouldn't be deemed as that special because it's like, oh, we got like 10 of you. Do you get what I'm saying? And we know that 10 of you would be far cheaper than just having you in itself, kind of thing. And maybe potentially even better. But let's just say on your level at the bare minimum. So that's just how it is. And I think he's influenced football so much that people have said he's the reason why in England, especially, that football has built, also in football in a general sense, has been ruined because people believe that because everybody's tried to copy him, it's ruined football in a general sense, right? Because everyone's tried to copy, because we've all looked at it and said, oh my goodness, we have to be just like Pep Guardiola. In theory, you don't. Not in theory, you actually just don't. Like you actually just don't need to copy him. You could just be your own person. I get it. I understand why you would want to copy Pep Guardiola, but ultimately he is the best. He is number one, and he's the original. Like as I was thinking about earlier on, it's like old school when I used to have like tracing paper, and with the tracing paper, right, I would like I used to have like these Dragon Ball Z kind of like posters and pictures and like I want to say manga. It was actually just like magazines and stuff like that, right? Or Sonic or Pokemon. Pokemon. It was Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Dragon Ball Z. I know I'm going completely off topic, but I used to try and get the tracing paper and trace it so I can draw the face of Goku or Sonic or Ash or Pikachu, blah blah blah. But it can never come out just. It never came out perfect, and it never came out looking like it did in the actual original. It sometimes you would get like the odd days where whatever it was I don't know, maybe just that day I was concentrating really really well, and it would look sort of like that. Like you could see the resemblance, but it was never the original. It was never the original. And that's exactly what's happened in football, especially in England. You've got so many different teams. Burnley came out, obviously managed by Vincent Company, who played under Pep Guardiola. But you've got teams like Burnley who don't have the players. Southampton, Russell Martin trying to do the same thing. It's that, oh, let's play out from the back kind of thing. And it's like, you know what I mean? De Zerbi's obviously done it with Brighton. You know, there's numerous teams who have tried to almost play. Arsenal have got an element of Manchester City in terms of the way that they play. Obviously, Mikel Arteta coming through, but at both Arsenal as a player and then Manchester City as a coach, you know, alongside Pep Guardiola. So when you're looking at these things, of course it's going to look awful for everybody else. Of course it's not going to work because this is the original. You can trace as much as you want. It will never be that original thing. You may get a day when it just looks similar and it may work for whatever it is you're trying to do, but I'd rather just have the original. Hence why I would never say he ruined football, because the reality is everybody else has ruined football. He is not the guy who ruined it. Everybody else has ruined football. So when we're talking about, you know, him in the Premier League, I just think to myself, it's just crazy. Like, this is a guy with 6 Premier League titles, I believe. I think in what, like 10 years. Think about what, 3 FA Cups, maybe like 5 League Cups, Champions League treble. Was it 100 points? Like, yo, if he's not the best manager, like I said, Sir Alex Ferguson was an absolutely amazing manager, and he was able to build this empire, you know, at Manchester City, Manchester City, at Manchester United, should I say? He was able to build that, and that is brilliant in itself. I'm not trying to downplay that, but when I'm just thinking football sense, and I think, to be fair, if Pep Guardiola stayed here for the same amount of time, I think it would be the exact same kind of result, if not more so, to be fair, just because of today's kind of day and age. But when I'm looking at Manchester City, when I'm looking at Pep Guardiola, and I'm thinking to myself, have we just ever seen this level of influence, this kind of football? Every manager wants to be like you. Everybody trying to be like Mike. Same thing with Pep. Everybody trying to be like Pep. Everybody trying to be like Pep. Ain't nobody trying to be like Sir Alex Ferguson, because we know that that was just one of those things. It was like, well, he is who he is, and because of who he is, no one else could be like him. Whereas everybody feels that they could be like a Pep Guardiola. Do you get what I'm saying? Because he gives you that kind of false sense, you know, false sense of security, where you're just like, oh, I feel like I can touch that. I feel like I can get there. When the reality is, you're super far away. You know, that's just kind of the natural thing with Pep Guardiola. So yeah, man, like it's just gonna be mad when he leaves, man. Honestly, like I don't rate none of these other managers like that at all. Like, I don't really care who it is. I don't, like, unless Luis Enrique comes into it, he's the only one I look at and think, okay, yeah, I feel like you can rival like a Pep in terms of your tactical nous and the way you play football. And in my opinion, the best way to play football is the way that Enrique, Pep Guardiola kind of play, right? But that's more just down to preference in itself. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a tough one, and I think the Premier League are gonna lose one of the greatest managers in football history. And you rarely do say that. Do you know what I'm saying? That those are only reserved for the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson's and you know, the Arsene Wengers of this kind of Jose Mourinho's and stuff like that. So yeah, man, big up to Pep Guardiola. As I said, we will do a video looking at Enzo Maresca if he's the manager. If not, whoever the managers are on the short list for Manchester City. Who do you think Manchester City should get? Let's say they don't get Enzo Maresca, right? Who do you think Manchester City should be getting in as their next manager? Obviously, Jappy Alonso's now gone. He would have been a good candidate. Vincent Company has been touted, but I believe he's still not finished his job. I think he's going to want to stay there for a bit of time, you know, get his CV up. You know what I mean? Couple trophies here and there. Maybe see if he can nick a Champions League next season. Yeah, let me know. Let me know in the comment section. Who do you think that should be? And yeah, I'll catch you guys real soon, man. Peace.